Welcome everybody to the tier list of patch 7.03. As you see, this is the old tier list and we want to have some improvements on this one. At very first I have to say, last time I let the Harpy at rank C because I did not play too much with it. Harpy is a lot stronger at the moment and that's why it's gonna make a huge jump even though there was no change on it. But let's have a look at all the other units. I'm again trying to have like the best units of every tier at the start, but don't take it too serious. I cannot rank them perfectly. As always, I'm again live on Twitch, so if you want to check out the stream, click the link in the video description, and sometimes with some units I'm gonna get help from the chat maybe. In S tier, not too much is gonna change. The exact though, I want to have it ranking down to be the best A tier unit possible. The new change where you get 2.5% more debuff per stack, which can be up to 5% debuff with a dying egg is huge, especially as I just said on a dying egg. And you will feel the lack of HP on some XX later on. So there's a nerf. I personally don't like the change because I'm a fan of exec and I'm a big fan of dying exec, but overall I think it's a good change in the end. All the other units, there hasn't been too many changes. Millennium is still a very good unit. It might not be that far in S anymore, like somewhere in the center. I just put it in the middle somewhere, so there's no real position. I don't want to say it's better than Nightmare or worse than Buckler. Like they're all around the same. But I want to rank LOD a lot higher because the new Hades is actually quite good on its own, especially with different buffs than before. So before, a lot of mana buffs like Steed, Starcaller Magician that help the Hades a lot. They're still not bad, but at the moment I have the feeling there's other buffs that you profit more from. For example, Butcher Head Chef, White Mane, APS, MPS, because the new unit, the Hades summons, the Tananos, is a huge Drake with the chance of healing itself by last hitting. So those auras support the Drake just a lot better. On the other units, I think there were no changes, so they are still around the same. I cannot see any major issues with those. Berserker is absolutely not that far behind. It's actually one of the best openers you can have with the right setup at the moment, because you're allowed to push 5 workers on 3 and 7 workers on 5 with a few units, and this is just a huge advantage you can get over an average good opener. For the next units down there, we have Gargoyle. It was very strong as an opener. I still think it's not good at all in the late game. That's why I did rank Gargoyle on B. It got nerfed in the early game. Late game it's still trash, so I would just let it in B. It's an average good unit. Personally, I don't like it. I know others like it and some even lock it in as their preferred opener. I don't like it. It's average. It's an average unit, and that's why I just want it to be there. Nothing to change. On all those units, I'm not sure if something changed there. If I'm right, it didn't. We have Starcaller being now very efficient with the new Sorcerer. But I think since this is a very specific change, Starcaller should still stay at B. It's somewhat balanced. It's still a very strong unit because there's a lot of other options you can combine it with. Besides D, there's still LOD. There is the gates. You have Harbinger and Gate Guards. You can still use it with Violets, even though Violets are not that strong anymore at the moment. Very good still with Harpies and Boa. So all those units are actually quite good with it. Next on, I want to move down to the C level. Harpy, as I said, will make a huge jump. I was not able to make a clear opinion about this one last time. I want to rank it a lot higher. It is going to be A tier. just based on the fact that with a Harpy you need a good role. You cannot play Harpy with any role. You will need a decent amount of tanks, and they have to be a little bit of low cost tanks like Buckler, a Chain Fist, something like this. So maybe in the best case a medium tank, for example Growl or a Samurai, a Wanderer. And in the very best case you have a low cost tank, a medium cost tank, and 1 or 2 big cost tanks. Let's say you have Antler, you have Batcher, some stuff like this. So in the best case you have big tanks for Harpy plus a buff. It can be played without a buff, Caesar says, who is probably the best, or not probably, he is the best Harpy player out there, and really likes it. But I think it's not possible to play it with any role. That's why it's not going to be higher rated. But it can be really good if played well. Next on, in sea level, we had some changes on the Pilgrim. Yeah, Pilgrim. I mean, Pilgrim is getting buffed every patch. It's just a bad unit. The thing is, the heal is efficient in the very first few waves. So 1 to 5, the heal is very nice on the Pilgrim. It is an early game unit. But the fact that it's dealing magic damage, plus it's not able to tank too much, so you have to protect it as soon as you reach, let's say, wave 6, you have to protect it so it's not dying against those Rockos or against those waves to come, makes it really bad as a unit with the magic damage attack type. 7-8 is just a really useless unit. The 5 heal increase are kind of nice. I still rank it at C. I did only test it twice so far, and it did not really look like being super hard buffed, and the Lost Chieftain, the upgrade, getting plus 5 damage did not really stand out too well until now. So I'm not a big fan of it. Caesar states again, he said this a few times already, that Pilgrim's only good with a lot of tanks, a lot of Pilgrims, which makes a lot of sense, because then the healing is not only 120 but maybe like 500 or 600 at a time, which can be then a real huge bonus, especially in the later and mid game as well. But until then, I don't really see Pilgrim being efficient, and overall it's very situational. So Pilgrim still being in C tier for now. Maybe this changes throughout the patch when players discover new ways to play it, but at the moment C tier is probably more than enough for it. Boa looks actually pretty good as a Red Eye at the moment. If you upgrade it, Red Eye, it's a huge tank. It has 8k plus hit points, and it's dealing quite some nice AoE damage on top. I would personally like to rank it a little bit higher now in B tier, just for the fact that some AoE comms with pyros, APS and all that stuff are getting more popular. That's why I would rank it now B tier. We had some changes on Canopy. You all know it, Canopy is not a unit. I'm still tempted to put it in D tier. I know a lot of players like it, but Canopy is just a trash unit. If you have it as your, even Steed might be better in some cases as your only arcane unit, just don't take Canopy. It's not a good unit. It's just hard countered by Brute. Even on the one wave it's good in the early game, which is 7. After that there's just a lot of waves coming where it's bad again. So you just use a lot of value into a dead unit for a very long time. And after 14 it's useless again. So it has actually 2 really good waves, which are 7 and 14, and building a lot of value only for those 2 waves is not really worth it. That is the units that have been in the game before. And now obviously there's a new unit this patch, which is the Radiant Halo. Some things I have to say about the unit. It is cheap enough to start with it, with its 200 gold. So a lot of players are trying it out as an opener, and with the passive and the spell being some kind of a ranged Berserker, it's obviously getting better the more HP the unit it's attacking has. So it's especially efficient on waves like 6, boss waves, even though it's ramping up a little bit slower there. 13, 17, 18, 19, all those waves. And it's very, very strong in those late game waves. Even though you can play it as an opener, it's an average good opener, and I'm really surprised that it's not totally broken as a unit that is coming out new, so I really like this fact. Personally, played with steeds, 2 steeds, and the Radiant Halo is already almost guaranteeing you a full buffed unit, which is really, really efficient if you have 100% more attack speed. So try this out. This is the best buff you can get. And since it's not OP and I feel it's kind of balanced and only steeds make it, yeah, a little bit more strong than it should be. Personally, I think it should be upper B tier. I'm really interested in your opinions though. Do you think it is higher or lower rated than upper B tier? Like probably after Varg, best B tier unit. Till you can answer me, yes, Pyro and Zeus are still B tier, and I would even rate them lower B tier because they can get countered quite efficient by a mole, for example. Otherwise, there have been no changes to other units as far as I know. D tier is still Ranger. You don't play Ranger if you don't have to. Poly just has lost a lot of base stats. The upgrades are upper B to A tier, but Poly as a tier 1 it is just trash, same as Angler. Tempest, you don't play Tempest at the moment, they're just not good enough. You have Canopy not being a unit, and in B tier there's a lot of units that are around average at the moment. Okay, since there's nobody complaining about this tier list at the moment, personally I'm fine with it. I think we're done. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any other opinions, any thoughts about this, let me know in the comments. And yeah, see you next time.